The Niners have a massive advantage down the stretch. We've got a few really important games coming up. I'm going to tell you what I mean by massive advantage and who particularly I'm talking about in just a second. Hit subscribe if you're looking for 49ers content. As always, appreciate you guys to the moon and back for everything that you guys do in liking the videos and subscribing and commenting. I love it. Absolutely love it. Let's talk about this massive, massive advantage the 49ers have. And it's going to come out of the mouth of a guy you will respect. It comes out of the mouth of John Lynch. I was on the road a lot today, which is why I don't have a graphics package or anything extra to bring to you today. I do have some audio because on this very, very long, a lot of time in the car today. This is the second weekend in a row. I'm spending a lot of time in the car. I've combined like a good 20 hours of driving over the last week. And you know what? Something that I listened to today should have you absolutely hyped. We're going to start by talking about Kyle Shanahan and his leadership and how he has particularly getting even some inside scoop from John Lynch on how he has helped this team to be as good as they are right now. Then later we're going to get to this Week 14 bye. We're going to get to Brock Purdy. So I got lots of other stuff coming, so don't go anywhere. And then in a future video, we've got to get to some of the other stuff he said. It was a very long interview, and it was very, very good. I haven't found it on YouTube yet. It's not out there, but you can check the full-length podcast out with NBC Sports Bay Area, so go do that. But let's start off with Kyle Shanahan's leadership this season. Here is John Lynch.
A whole lot of resilience. I mean, first of all, it's the bye week that would never come. It's unbelievable. Week 14. I've never experienced anything like it. I know that other teams in the league have, and it's not unprecedented, but it was really deep into the year. And just that alone, I'm really excited and proud with the way our guys, and when I say guys, I mean our entire organization has handled it. It's been a grind. There's a lot that's transpired with injuries and such, but I think resiliency is the word I just keep going back to. And there's been a really good approach of just focus on what we can control, and that's our next week's opponent and how we prepare for that opponent. And I think Kyle's leadership has been as good as I've ever seen it. He's always been great, but he's handled this year extremely well, just focusing on exactly what we can control, and the guys have taken his lead.
I'm going to continue on that in a second, but I want to make a comment about this resiliency for this football team real quick. Because when you look at it in terms of the different groups on the field, the different cores on the field, and I'm thinking about the offensive line. That's one of the only sections of the field that has been largely consistent. 4 of your 5 offensive linemen have been the same guys throughout the season. Colton McKivitz rating very, very high. I know I said Colton McKivitz. I don't know if you are linking the two together there. Colton McKivitz, Trent Williams, both playing. They're very, very good, playing very, very well, right? Okay, Dominic Pooney started off a little rough. He's been playing much, much better. Jake Brendel when he's been in, and then Matt Hennessy when he came in to cover for Brendel, been really good. But for the most part, you've got those 4 guys locking it down. Then you've got Jake Brendel, not Jake Brendel. So you have Spencer Burford, who is in. Multiple guys at left guard, of course. You got the rookie Connor Colby coming in for a while there too. And Ben Barch, your guy who was supposed to start the season, has been injured a lot. So yes, there's been a revolving door at left guard in terms of position. Revolving door and offensive line, that was the wrong phrase. You know what I mean, though. There's been a lot of guys moved in and out on that left guard position throughout the season. But overall, this offensive line has been improving. We're seeing more out of them. Okay, outside of the offensive line, start looking around the rest of the position groups in the 49ers locker room. And quarterback, moving lots of injuries, okay? Move back and forth between your starting quarterback, your backup quarterback. Your starting quarterback, again, not so good. Backup quarterback, back to your starting quarterback. You know, it's been a revolving door there. Still, wrong phrase, but you get what I'm saying. The wide receiver room has been changing and moving all throughout the entire season, okay? And I include George Kittle when I say that because that's a massive part in terms of his receiving ability, okay? Running back room has been really solid. That's another one that's been very consistent throughout the year. Yes, they're not exactly averaging the yards per carry you'd like to see, but in terms of personnel, there, okay? On the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line has looked, golly, it's looked so different week to week. When you think about who you thought your starting lineup was going to be, when you think about what your starting NASCAR package was going to be, and when you think about how things have gone, and the guys that have gone down, and the guys that have come in, and the guys that have been signed, like all of that has been absolutely insane. The depth guys who've gotten injured, I mean, it's just been nuts, right? Same thing at the linebacker position. You've got so much movement happening, so many different guys coming in. So I can only point my attention when there's that much change going on. Safeties as well, by the way. Safeties is another big position that has had a lot of change in it. Jason Pinnock starting at safety for a little while. Marquise Siegel starting at safety for a good chunk. Malik Mustafa comes back from injury, but Jair Brown's not a 100 lock on that position at the beginning when he comes in. And so it's been nuts. You're seeing big nickel. You're seeing all sorts of stuff happening. The Niners have done a lot, right? So I looked at the coaches when it comes to how many different players have been playing in different positions and how successful the Niners have been despite it being 9-4 right now. Here is more on John Lynch, on Shanahan's leadership. Listen to the inside scoop you get out of John Lynch on this one.
Well, I think the great thing with Kyle, he's never going to fib to his team. Some people believe in speaking into existence. Kyle has to see it. He likes showing it with film. And so I think he's been extremely honest with our team. You know, like when we're playing Cleveland, hey, if we have to win 2-0, that's all right. You know, and then if we end up, you know, beating them a whole lot worse, and hopefully we do, then you can stick it in my face. But I expect this to be a tight game. It's going to be tough weather, all those things. And I think Kyle's always honest. So they know, and they have so much belief in Kyle that he's going to do what it takes to get them ready to play. And like I said, I worked with Kyle for a long time. I came here, one many head coaches I would work with, that was one of them. And I think he's been as good as he's ever been. And it's probably that attitude of, yeah, it hurts when you find out you lose a Fred Warner, a Nick Bosa. But after you kind of go through that gut punch, okay, I got to go face my team and let them know that we still have a really good football team and we can proceed forward. And as hard as that is, and he's done a really good job of towing that line.
You guys, so good. Such a great point. The honesty from Shanahan, and something that I love about Shanahan is, despite the fact that he gets a lot of hate, he's gotten a lot of hate for a really, really long time, especially from Atlanta as the offensive coordinator in that Super Bowl loss from that to now. He gets a lot of hate. But this year, I feel like he's gotten a lot more respect. And something that has never changed about Shanahan in terms of respect, his players' respect for him. His players have always spoken so highly of him, and I think it comes down to that honesty. We've heard guys like Fred Warner. We've heard several players. George Kittle has said it. Brock Purdy has said it. Talked about the honesty that you get out of Kyle Shanahan, that Shanahan will just tell you straight up where you're at. He will tell you flat out where things are looking right now and your chance of being able to play on this football team, your chance to be able to contribute, etc., how well you played or how poorly you played. All of that from Shanahan has always been really respected by players. I think they respect that honesty. They know exactly where they stand with him at all times, and I think that's part of the secret sauce that comes out of Kyle Shanahan's leadership in terms of being able to take a team that has had so many positions changing constantly throughout the season and still be able to have a high level of performance, relatively speaking. Let's get to this other situation that's played out for the Niners, part of what they've gone up against this whole season. We haven't talked about this much, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about this much up until now. It's the fact that despite all of the injuries and all of the things they've had to overcome there and this resiliency that they've had, we haven't really talked about the fact that they could have used a week 9 bye like last year. They could have used a week 10 bye. I mean, there were some moments in there where, like, when Bryce Huff goes down, would have been nice to have a bye week and have one of those weeks not impacted by Bryce Huff right after he has a great game against who I think it was maybe the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. That's my memory anyway. Who knows? The bottom line is that week 14 bye meant that so many weeks in the lead up to now has meant that they had to just continue to figure it out and keep going. So here's John Lynch on the week 14 bye and some interesting insight he laid out.
I think you have to make it the right time, and we did by taking care of business. I mean, 9-4 is not perfect, and you kind of get greedy around this time. You look back and you say, man, had we been more on point against Houston, who played really well and beat us. Jacksonville, the same thing. You start thinking about that, but then you say, hey, 9-4 is not bad. We're in this thing. We've given ourselves the chance, and I think right now what it should do gives you a little ability to get away, get fresh for the grind that's coming at the end of this. And then physically, for some of the guys to get healthy, I think it gives us an added boost. I talked to Eric DeCosta at Baltimore. They've experienced this twice in the last 4 years. And he talked about how physical it allowed his team to play in December and into the playoffs, having a week 14 bye. Because it's really odd that you get one that late, and it kind of everyone got a second wind. And so hopefully you have to make that the case. You can't just rely on that happening. You have to make that the case, but I think our guys will. We know.
Gotta love that, right? Just hearing from DeCosta over in Baltimore about how that late bye has helped them hit December a little bit harder. So I'm really hoping that we're going to see that from the 49ers. Of course, the guys coming back from injury in the next couple of weeks, like Eddie Pinheiro and Tatum Bethune, big impact players, I think, and Sam Okuanu, another guy who I feel like has always been on the cusp of not just he's a solid individual. He's a solid human being, and I'd like to see him, with some consistency in terms of week in, week out. And I feel like he's there. I feel like he really can be there because we're seeing so many little bright spotlights in what he's capable of. And so anyway, but then you add the fact that the players who are getting rest, who have been playing a ton, get that little extra burst, second wind, to use John Lynch's language. I thought that was kind of cool. And I'm going to close out the show today with one that's really not on theme totally. It's about Brock Purdy, because I have not heard John Lynch talk about Brock Purdy's performance in Cleveland yet. And I thought this was really insightful how he talked about Brock Purdy's performance. We've all made a lot about his pocket awareness, his elite pocket awareness. We've made a lot about his legs this week, and what he's been able to do, what he was able to do, in Cleveland against this incredible defensive line. John Lynch says more. Listen to this.
I thought he was awesome. And I thought he just some subtle throws, but like I was in that stadium. I was in that corner, the way where we were going into the wind. I was like 10-yard line. I was up in a suite, so it was a little warmer. I was up there, with Jed, but they were coming into the wind, and you saw Brock make a couple throws, driving a comeback to Jawan, driving an out route to Ricky Pearsall right through the wind. And I think he just, from the first play of the game where we threw the corner on the boot to Juice, he came out with a very aggressive mindset. Really easy when you've just thrown 3 picks to be very careful with the ball. And I thought that was a great statement. I think a great statement from Kyle and Clay. Let's put it in his hands, get outside the pocket. I was in the opener meeting saying, we got a good idea. This corner's going to be open on this boot. Brock let it rip, and that's exactly what he did. And I think it's set the tone for the day. They have a hellacious D-line and defense in general in Cleveland. I thought the way he navigated the pocket, got rid of the football quickly, eluded some sacks. I thought Brock was really good.
Yeah, that opening play was unbelievable. I think the pass to Juwan Jennings is one of the more underrated throws in that entire game. Everybody makes a lot out of the pass to George Kittle, as he should. But yeah, that pass to Juwan Jennings on that out route, that was an incredible pass, and that's one that if you are late or if you are underthrowing that in any which way, if you don't have the right zip on the ball, that one is an interception, and it's an interception with pain attached to it, because that corner jumps that route, and he's got a lot of green in front of him. So I think that's another play for me that I felt like, yeah, that's a big shout. I love that one. The use check play, though, to open the game was fascinating. Really cool play call. One of those plays that you break down afterward and you watch it over and over and over. I don't know if you did it, I did, but I love it because there's so much to love about the play. There's so much to love about the scheme, and there's so much confidence in opening the game in that kind of play, in a get-right moment for Brock Purdy, to give him the confidence to demonstrate, that he's got the feel, he's got the touch, he's got the timing, all of that ready to go, and to do it against this defensive line, to run that play, also pretty ambitious in a good way. Really, really cool from the 49ers. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about all of this. Of course, I always appreciate your guys' thoughts, even when I get some negative feedback, and I appreciate guys like David going out there and fighting for me, fighting my battles or whatever. I'm always doing my best to try and share the information I think is most impactful to you as a fan, because it's the information that's making me most hyped as a fan. And so, that's what I'm doing. That's my goal. And I appreciate you guys to the moon and back for sharing your thoughts as always. Kyle Shanahan's on an absolute tear. We've got the guy. We've got the guy. And so many teams in the NFL, we hear this all the time from Brian Baldinger and Greg Cosell, that if Shanahan were gone, if he were off the Niners, the number of teams that would be making that phone call right now, that would be saying, we will take you in a heartbeat. There's going to be a lot of teams out there. Absolutely. And so we got to give some credit where credit is due. Kyle Shanahan's been unbelievable. Let's see this team, after a week 14 bye, come back with some extra enthusiasm, with the chance, with the possibility that Fred Warner could even be coming back before the season's end if you can make a deep playoff run. Go out there, win the next game in front of you with energy, with an enthusiasm, with violence on the field. Like, I want to see it all. Let's go. I cannot wait to sit down and not be stressed out at all watching football, but what's more, I can't wait to watch some more Niners football. Let's go, baby. Have a good one.